Hello, everybody. This is APBA Brian and Picks to Post show. This will be our final Picks to Post show. This one preceding the 58th Super Bowl. And I'm joined today by Keith White from Keith White Long Underdue,
Yeah.
and Michael Peterson wearing his championship Texas Rangers cap.
Hey, Brian, I'm sensing a little personal bias on your part for this game as far as a team you're favoring. I might be wrong. I might be reading too much into it, but
I have a question for you, Brian.
Yep.
This goes back in my day when my team was good. Okay. When they won the NFC championship back in the day, they used to have in the paper, newspapers, they have ads from these companies. And you go to the hotel and you can buy your
Giants
gear.
Okay. In case we got a new listener or something.
New York Giants gear. And I was wondering, did they do that in this week in Kansas City?
Oh, yeah. Gear is everywhere. There's a small business that does vintage Chiefs stuff, and that's what Taylor Swift showed up in the Buffalo game. So everybody's going out buying vintage Chiefs stuff. I've got a couple of vintage Chiefs things.
Are they allowed to put her likeness on any of the Chiefs stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's on some of them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So they did that. That's good.
So we live across the street. We live across the street. We live across the street from Union Station in Kansas City where the draft was held. And it's all dolled up. Some of the pictures I used in the introduction came from Union Station. Lots of photo places there.
Nice.
Lori is also with us behind the scenes, and she will put up various pictures.
Miss Lori.
And Lori, if you could put up the results, we got our final standings. Very close. Dan Mattingly, Keith, Tim, and Michael Peterson. Basically, we're all tied for first place, 61% this year.
And we're all over 500. That's even better.
Yeah, I think if you do 60% or better, that's pretty good.
I think so.
And then Harris, APBA Brian were 60, and Rob was 59. And Matt McClellan, front of the channel, is at 58%. So that's our final picks record. And in this game, of course, we know, in case you haven't heard, San Francisco 49ers made the Super Bowl, as well as the Chiefs. 49ers are 15-5.
As they say, you're living off a rock, under a rock.
Excuse me, they're 14-5 with including the playoffs, 5-2 in their Super Bowl record. And the Kansas City Chiefs are 14-6, including the playoffs, 3-2 in their Super Bowl records. So both have winning Super Bowl records. The latest injury report, San Francisco is pretty healthy. In fact, there's hardly anybody on it. Kittle did not practice Friday due to a toe injury. Eric Armstead's got a knee foot. He didn't practice on Friday. And Trent Williams was rested on Friday, but there's no injury there. Kansas City, on the other hand, will not have Charles Omenihu, who tore an ACL, defensive tackle. They probably will not have Joe Thuney with a pectoral injury, although Andy Reid said that there's a long shot he might play. That's our all-pro left guard. Although he was replaced by Nick Allegretti from Illinois, played Super Bowls before. And actually last week he had to play Metabuke, who was Baltimore's best defender, and he graded out with the highest pass protection grade by PFF in that game.
There you go.
So Chris Jones is nursing a quad. He was limited on Friday. Isaiah Pacheco, toe and ankle injuries. That's been going for a couple of weeks. He was limited on Friday. Willie Gay missed the game last week. He's number 50, the linebacker. When he was asked today if he was ready to play in the Super Bowl, he's dealing with a neck injury. He just went like that and said, "I'm ready to go." He said he played last week. He was concerned that he might re-injure and not be available for the Super Bowl. That's the main things with Kansas City. Should be playing.
Did they talk about Tony this morning?
Kadarius Toney will be active for the game. I doubt if he plays wide receiver. There's a chance he might play punt returner.
Oh, okay.
He is very dangerous with the ball in his hand. He had the longest punt return in the Super Bowl history last year. So he might play punt returner because the guy they're using is nursing a minor injury, Richie James, number 17. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's returning punts. I would be surprised if he's playing wide receiver. The other thing about the injuries is Jerick McKinnon is coming off IR, and there is a fairly good chance he'll be available.
Rob had sent me something, I think it was Rob, about the 49ers benching Chase Young at defensive end.
They're going to come out with a new injury report, but I don't
think he was injured, but it sounded like they weren't pleased with how he was playing.
Oh. Haven't seen anything about that.
To me, it seemed like the Packers and the Lions were oftentimes running to his side, especially Green Bay.
Yeah, both teams really ran up a lot of yards in the first half. But San Francisco made adjustments in the second half, and that kind of brought some control over the running game. But yeah, it's possible. It's very possible. Let's take a look at how these teams got here. First, let's see. Let's look at San Francisco in their championship game.
Now it's Gibbs trying to get to the edge. Gets a block from the quarter. Makes a man miss. Gibbs inside the 5. Touchdown, Detroit! And here's Badgley from 21, and he buries it. So it's 24-7.
One game, done a nice job.
Gardner Johnson in for Joseph, who leaves. Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep, going for Brandon Ayuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Hit him right in the face mask. And then, man, give credit there to Brandon Ayuk just staying with the play. And
here's Purdy. Looking, firing end zone. Caught! Ayuk! Touchdown! McCaffrey's going to get it, and he walks in! Touchdown, San Francisco! Third down, 4-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes, looking for the first down. He's got it and more! Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30. Here's McCaffrey, right side, breaks the tackle. McCaffrey, foot race, taken down inside the 5.
Quick blow.
Elijah Mitchell in for the first time tonight. Guess what? He's going to get it. Mitchell surging forward. Touchdown.
Boy, the Detroit Lions up 24-7 at halftime. I thought they had San Francisco dead to rights.
Yeah.
You know.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say, everybody keeps saying 23-3, you know? The New England Atlantic game.
With that ricochet catch,
28-3, yeah.
with that ricochet catch by Ayuk, I think that was kind of the turning point of the game. And that's going to go down. If San Francisco goes on to win the Super Bowl, that could be going down as like an iconic play.
Was it going to be pass interference anyway, or?
There was a flag.
Yeah.
But I don't recall.
No, it wasn't involving that play, though. I think there was a defensive hold on another player.
Oh, okay.
If
So
I'm
that
not
would have been a
mistaken.
5-yard penalty.
Yeah, 5 yard
and
first
they
down.
declined the penalty, so it didn't matter because they got the ball on the
Oh,
one,
yeah. But I mean,
and then
I
they
saw
scored
that
on the
flag
next
jump
play.
in there. And,
It almost brings back memories of the Franco Harris play, the immaculate reception. That's going to go down a huge play for San Francisco if they win the Super Bowl.
or
yeah.
that Lynn Swan catch in Super Bowl 10
Mm-hmm.
across midfield. Of
Or
course,
the David Tyree catch when the Giants
the
beat
Swan
the Patriots.
the Swan catch didn't lead to any points, but it's still a highlight play.
Yeah, now
You had
Kansas. Go ahead.
No, and Washington with Doug Williams doing his thing.
Yeah. Well, that was against Denver's defense just looked way overmatched in that game with the size and speed that Washington had to throw at him with.
That San Francisco-Detroit game, what do you think about the fourth down calls in the second half with Dan Campbell going for a fourth down rather than kicking 2 field goals?
Well, I didn't really mind it, but, I mean, I had that first drive of the second half, they were moving the ball pretty well, similar to the way they were in the first half on the ground. And then they got to 4th and 2, and Goff threw the pass to the receiver, hit him like in the arms. He kind of had to go down for it, but he should have caught it, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just makes what really wasn't that tough of a catch. Lions might have went down, put another score on the board, and that might have been it. But I don't get on coaches too much for that. I mean, you don't want to do it way in your own end, but at the same time, it depends on your special teams, how good your kicker is. They did miss a kick, I think, in the fourth quarter for a field goal that would have had it 27-27 after the 49ers scored. But
I think it was definitely not like Brandon Staley with the Chargers, where he was always going for fourth down and never getting it.
Yeah.
Detroit had been like 80% successful on their fourth down tries, so that's how they played it all year long. I think it would have been a kind of a departure from how they played if he had kicked the field goals. At the same time, I think at that point, trying to get momentum back, I would have gone ahead and kicked the field goal myself.
I would have punted, try to pooch punt, and see if they can get him deep in the end zone.
Well, the 2 times in the second half they decided not to go for field goals. One would have been a 47-yarder, so maybe he didn't have confidence in his kicker.
One thing I hadn't paid attention to much all year, but is it on a touchback on a punt, does that go to the 20-yard line?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought that's what I saw them do.
Mm-hmm.
Or a touchback fumble into the end zone goes to the 20 also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just kickoffs where they put it to 25.
So let's take a look at the top plays in the Kansas City-Baltimore game.
Then you have a chance to win this game.
Well, last week, Houston did not have a single snap inside the 25. Here's Kansas City from the 19, throwing at the goal line, and it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown. With Kyle Hamilton all over him, the matchup you wanted to watch.
That's the first time a tight end has scored on Kyle Hamilton all year. Now, he has not seen he's played everyone, all the greats. And when there's a line together.
Mahomes backpedals to the 37. He's got time. All kinds of time. Now escapes. Fires it at the last second. And Kelce caught it. Second and goal. It's back to Pacheco. Pacheco drives across for the Chiefs touchdown.
What an outstanding drive.
Cheering his brother's team on here. 2nd and 8 from the 9. Jackson to Flowers. He dives. The ball came out. It's recovered by Kansas City. Did the ball come out before he broke the plane? This is a call that could determine the whole game right here.
Snead,
It's out.
who has played at the highest level this entire season, Jim. Snead has defended the other team's.
He gets the protection. He goes long and on his back to ice it is Marquez Valdez-Scantling for the second straight week. He catches a long ball.
Huge game for Travis Kelce, 11 targets, 11 catches, 116 yards. And I think the player of the game was that punch out at the goal line by L'Jarius Sneed on Zay Flowers. If they make it 17-10, they're right back in this game, Baltimore.
Yeah. No, I think Kelce and all his catches were, to me, was the whole thing, the whole idea of the game, because they couldn't stop him.
Kyle Hamilton had that play covered, but
Didn't
perfect
matter.
throw, great catch, yeah.
It didn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
And
Hamilton couldn't have done it better. Yeah, I don't think Hamilton could have done it better. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm just saying, even the I hear, you don't hear any problems with the officiating during the two games, which was great.
Yeah, I think it's
that
been better. But, yeah, over the playoffs, it has been better.
They even got that call right. The ball going into the end zone. That was the right call. He was a half a yard before he went to the end zone, and he fumbled the ball.
Yeah, now there was a fourth down where the Chiefs, I think the third down one, they went for it. They came up short, and we were screaming for Andy Reid to throw the flag. He didn't. And then we went for 4th and 1, and we didn't convert it. But it turns out, though, when they showed it on the replay, it still would have been inches short.
Mm-hmm.
Even would they have moved the ball, though, closer if he threw the flag? I think they might have.
They might have, but like I said, the officiating was good. I think the officials put their flags in their pockets because I didn't see much holding. And then again, you have two decent teams, and when you have good teams, you don't have the kind of penalties that you see, 30 penalties between the two teams. I don't even know how many penalties there were in that game. If there were 10, that was a lot.
Yeah, there weren't many. There was a few complaints, but it wasn't the referees or Taylor Swift that knocked the football out of Zay Flowers' hands. It was L'Jarius Sneed. There was video. Excuse me. I saw a picture on Facebook of a tripping call in the end zone where I think 43 Gus Edwards was tripping Chris Jones coming up the middle. He had his leg out there trying to trip him. No flag on that play. But I don't care. I mean, I'd rather. And then there was another one. I'm not sure. 79 Donovan Smith on our side was not holding on that first Travis Kelce. It would have been really questionable if they threw the flag, but it looked like that might have been a possibility.
I'm hoping with these two teams we don't have to worry about any tush pushes.
Well, you won't for the Chiefs. They haven't run a quarterback sneak with Mahomes since his knee got turned sideways in Denver his first or second year playing. They've never run a quarterback sneak. Although I wish they would pull it out. I mean, what's the odds of him getting his knee knocked sideways twice in a row? I don't think the odds are very high. And he's a big guy. He should be able to do it. But they absolutely – I do look for Chiefs in the red zone to maybe in a game like this when Reed's had 2 weeks to prepare. There might be a trick play coming up. I can see that. Let's look at the individual matchups in this game, starting with the running backs. San Francisco's got Christian McCaffrey, who I think maybe is the offensive player of the year, second year in a row, over 2,000 yards. And then we got Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs, who could be the first rookie running back in NFL history to win Super Bowls his first 2 years if the Chiefs win tomorrow. Who would you pick in the running back room?
McCaffrey.
Yep.
McCaffrey. He's been the man. He's been the man.
Both are good, but McCaffrey.
Yeah,
he's a beast.
He is. He's the better player.
He had 1,300 yards rushing, I think, and over 500 yards receiving Pacheco on the regular season was 931 and about 244 receiving. He's done more in the playoffs. And I look for both of them to have a big role Sunday. I think both of them will be rolling.
Question about that. If McKinnon's coming back, I think Pacheco probably loses some time so that they might put McKinnon out there.
I think you're right, because if he does come back, he is a better blocker than Pacheco is. Not that Pacheco's bad, but McKinnon is he's a small man, but he is a beast back there blocking for Mahomes.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking with McKinnon.
So the running back edge goes to San Francisco. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. Brock Purdy for San Francisco in his second year. He's been outstanding. He was until the Baltimore game. He was in the running for MVP. And then Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes. We all know about him. He's 14-3 in the playoffs, looking to win his 15th playoff game.
You got to give the experience to, the advantage to Mahomes with the experience, and I think he's better than Purdy anyway. I mean, Purdy is people would probably think I'm down on Purdy. I'm not, but I don't want to go overboard and say he's a superstar either. I think I'm not saying he's a game manager. I think he's a good quarterback, good NFL quarterback. I don't think he's a guy that's going to carry a team to, NFC championship after NFC championship like some other quarterbacks did in the AFC. I don't think you're going to get the runs like you got out of Roethlisberger. There for a while, I was just thinking about this today. There for a while, it was mostly just Manning, Brady, and Roethlisberger in the AFC getting to the Super Bowl with occasionally somebody different like Flacco. And
Shanahan's trying to change the narrative on game manager. He answered that question, I think, yesterday when he said every good quarterback is a game manager because they have to manage the game.
That's true.
They have to make plays, and they have to read defenses. If they can't do all three of those things, then they're not.
Well, I think what it is they're when they go to game manager, the person who's the game manager has to have everybody else fairly well do their role on a play. And the superstar quarterbacks can kind of take the broken situations, the things that don't work so well, take a deficiency that might pop up in a game and not let it cripple his performance too much and still lead that team to a victory, even though everything else might not be working the way it should be working or at an optimal level.
I think Purdy's better than Garoppolo, who we played in Super Bowl 54. He could take off and run. He's fast. He showed that in the championship game.
On that one run. But there's an intangible right now. You should know it, Brian. It's been in the papers, at least down here. It's been in the papers the last couple of days. Someone had too much to drink last week and got himself arrested.
Yeah, that's Pat Mahomes Sr.
Yeah.
I don't think that Mahomes is going to let that bother him. I think.
I hope not.
No, I don't think he will. He is going to be locked on. It seems like every Super Bowl, back when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, Super Bowl IV, there was that big controversy the week of the Super Bowl about Lynn Dawson. Yeah, there always is, about Lynn Dawson and gambling. It so happened to be somebody else who happened to be named Dawson was a gambler, and they got linked to Lenny. But they answered the questions, and the world believed him and went out and won the Super Bowl MVP. The one thing that scares me concerning Purdy, if I were San Francisco, is that he's had only 2 games against top 5 NFL pass defenses, Cleveland and Baltimore. And those 2 games didn't go well. They lost Cleveland 19-17, and they were beat pretty handily by Baltimore. And he did not have, I think he threw 4 interceptions. It was his 4 interception game against the Ravens. So that's a little scary because Kansas City is definitely a top 5 pass defense. Now, San Francisco on defense is ranked 3, offensive 3. I think Kansas City is 15 on offense and 2 on defense. So he will be facing a very stiff secondary. You got L'Jarius Sneed, you got Trent McDuffie, 2 lockdown corners there, and the safeties, Justin Reed, will knock your block off. He hits hard, and is kind of the quarterback back there for the safeties. I think he's going to be challenged. Purdy is going to be challenged against that secondary.
Mm-hmm.
More than I think Mahomes will be challenged against San Francisco's secondary.
Yeah.
So you would give I guess you'd have to give the quarterback to Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm favoring Kansas City. Let's go to wide receivers. San Francisco's got Brendan Ayuk, who had the face mask catch. Hard to stay with. They've got Deebo Samuel, wide receiver, tough to tackle after catch. And George Kittle, who had over 1,000 yards receiving, actually more than Kelsey had. So he had one of his best years. So Kansas City's got Rashee Rice, a rookie, about 930 yards in the regular season. He's over 1,100 now with the playoffs. And they got Travis Kelsey, who had 938. And last week set a record for tight ends and receptions, or actually any receptions by any receiver in the playoffs with his passing Jerry Rice. Who do you favor on the receivers?
Go ahead, Keith.
To me, that's not an easy call. I mean, a lot of people are going to say 49ers because of you got 3 weapons. And as you pointed out with the Chiefs having 2. But I think I favor Kelsey over Kittle because Kelsey just has a knack of getting open, finding that open ground. And I think, you look at I think Mahomes is just so good at spreading the ball out, spreading it around and finding guys. I think maybe the 49ers got the 3 super weapons, 49ers just a couple. But I think overall, when you look at the depth of everybody that's going to be involved, I'd actually probably give a little bit of an edge to the Chiefs in this.
Michael, how do
you guys say 3. 3 for the Chiefs. I mean, 3 for the Niners. 3 for the Niners. Let's make it 4.
Okay.
You know why? McCaffrey.
Yeah, and I thought of that, and I didn't mention it.
And McCaffrey's a good receiver
that's
out there.
So
you got 4. You got 4 potentially decent receivers, and then on Kansas City, you got Kelsey, you got Rice, and you know what? I would have said if he were healthy, I would have said McKinnon. I've seen McKinnon play. He's
had some
a
big
very
games
good
last
receiver,
year,
and he has a good yak. He has a very good yak after it. But for me, I have to give the advantage to someone, and then of course, here goes another intangible. You have Travis, and you know who, against George Kittle, and not a lot of people say it, but me, WWE, they've been asking him questions about wrestling, and I have to go with the man who knows more about wrestling than have to dealing with all the Swifties. So I'm going to give the advantage to the 49ers.
George Kittle says, "Thank you."
You're welcome.
Kittle.
They talked to him. He was asked a question, and he was talking about what's going on, and he has his thoughts for WrestleMania 40, and Triple H found out, and he's kind of going on board with it. So I find that kind of interesting. And George Kittle always wants to be on WWE, and that kind of makes it, to me, that's what gives it to me. So I say the 49ers.
When George Kittle lost in Super Bowl 54, you remember the video on the mic'd up where he says, "I will be back to this game, and I will be back with a vengeance." So we'll see. He's not entirely healthy.
Opponent too.
He is fighting some injuries, but he will definitely be playing. Kittle is probably a better blocker than Travis Kelce, although Kelce has been blocking pretty well in this past year in the playoffs, better than he has ever in his career. Let's go to the offensive line. Trent Williams anchors the San Francisco 49ers, and he's generally considered to be the best left tackle in football.
Yeah.
And Creed Humphrey anchors Kansas City's offensive line at the center position.
He's not bad.
Which offensive line do you favor?
Me, Trent Williams. You got to protect your quarterback. You got to find a way to protect him.
Probably slightly San Francisco, but I mean they both got good lines to get this.
And
far.
one player does not an offensive line make.
All right.
Well, that's kind of how I think about San Francisco. I think the other tackle for San Francisco is vulnerable. I think that we're going to see him try to have to stop Chris Jones on passing plays. He might go out to that outside edge, although I personally would rather see Chris Jones push the pocket into Brock Purdy if he can from the defensive tackle position. But Kansas City, Trey Smith is a road grader at right guard. Allegretti's would be a starter on most NFL teams, and if Tooney's back, he's an all-pro. Mm-hmm. The two tackles have been playing decent through the playoffs. They had their moments during the year. Last year's Super Bowl, Chiefs offensive line did not give up a sack to the team that was first in sacks. So they're very capable. I think that big loss to the guard with his torn pec, I think that's a big loss. I really do. It is a big loss, and I was wondering if they were going to replace him with Allegretti at center rather than left guard and move Creed Humphrey to left guard, because they kind of played around with that 18th week, the rest your starters week. They played with that, and it looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. But they did not go with that in the playoffs. All right, let's go to the defenses. The defensive line, Nick Bosa leads San Francisco's defensive line. And for Kansas City, you got Chris Jones leading the Chiefs line.
And somebody else.
Well, I would mention George Karlaftis too.
There you go.
Two outstanding seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think George Karlaftis will be very important in this game. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to have to deal with Trent Williams, and it's either going to be him. I don't think they're going to put I think he's the one that's going to be rushing against him. We'll see how that goes.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs defensive line just because the 49ers gave up so many rushing yards in these 2 weeks in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We are vulnerable to the run as well. Although I do know they know how to stop the run when they need to. Andy Reid talked about that, about the techniques we weren't doing in the first half against Buffalo. And they came back and did those techniques the second half, and that stopped Buffalo's run game. So I know we know how to stop the run.
The whole thing, though, with Kansas City, with their they couldn't stop the running game. It's Baltimore. Baltimore has one of the better running games in the AFC. You have Gus Edwards. You had Gus Edwards, and
you're number one.
You have to deal with that. Kansas City's rush defense against the rush is not that bad, because a lot of times you won't see teams run against them, because a lot of times they're behind and they have to get back in the game somewhere. the question is, how well can they get to the quarterback quickly?
Baltimore only ran the ball 6 times with running backs. Hill got 3 carries. Yeah, their other guy got 3 carries. That's not counting Lamar. But we took them out of the running game with those 2 first drives that scored touchdowns and ate up the clock. I think that's what discouraged them from going to a running game. And that was, I thought, the difference in that game.
Yeah.
Let's go through look at the linebackers. You got sure Hall of Famer in Fred Warner for San Francisco. And Kansas City's linebacking crew is led by Nick Bolton, but don't forget about Drew Tranquil and Willie Gay as well.
I'd still go with Fred Warner. Fred Warner.
In San Francisco?
Yeah. They talk about him, and every time you hear about a tackle, 1 out of every 2 times you hear his name. You hear his name.
I guess that's the thing. I wonder if I would bias too much for the 49ers because of all the mention of Warner all year long. And I think the Chiefs are very capable, though. So, I mean, I guess I'll just call it a draw just because I don't want to get.
Yeah, it could be. I agree with you, Keith. Yeah. It could be a draw, but if I have push comes to shove, I have to give it to the 49ers. You don't hear much about the linebackers on the Chiefs. What'd you say, Brian, that the Chiefs finished on defense?
Number 2.
And the 49ers were?
3.
See? You see? It's flip-flop, back and forth. It could be either way. But I don't hear much about the Chiefs linebackers. I hear more about the next thing you're going to talk about.
I think they're good, though.
I didn't say they were bad.
One thing about the Chiefs defense is in the last 12 games, they have not given up more than 7 points in the second half. And usually it's 3 or nothing. They've been rock solid with their adjustments at halftime. San Francisco's been good in the second half with their defenses as well, but they got gashed in the first half in both their playoff games. Whereas Kansas City never let the Ravens offense get going, and they never let Miami's offense get going. They did struggle a little bit with Buffalo offense.
But San Francisco was the opposite. They struggled in the first half against Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, even though Detroit, they're above average, right? So, and they gave up 24 points in 2 quarters, even though they didn't, they only scored 7 the rest of the way?
Yeah.
Right? So that's, that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough on the defense, on the San Francisco defense. But I would give it back to the linebackers. I would give it to the 49ers, but very close. You don't hear much about them, but you hear more about them in the secondary. Okay, which is what you're going to go next.
Yeah, let's go to the secondary. Shavarius Ward. Former Chief, who's played in 2 Super Bowls with Kansas City. This will be his 3rd Super Bowl. And
in a row.
For Kansas City, you've got L'Jarius Sneed leading their secondary. I will say that Kansas City's got a big edge here over San Francisco in the secondary.
I do too. I think Kansas City's not only Sneed, they seem to work well. They seem to gel very well together. I kind of noticed that. They play they do a lot of. I think San Francisco does a lot of blitzing, don't they?
No, actually, 80% of the time in the playoffs they have rushed 4 and defended the pass with everybody else.
Oh, okay.
So only about 20% of the time they have blitzed. Kansas City blitzes more than San Francisco.
Oh,
and they play more zone defense and pass coverage than most teams as well.
And then again, you look who had the tougher opponents. San Francisco had Detroit, and Green Bay, right?
Right. Kansas City.
And the Chiefs had Buffalo and Baltimore.
And Miami.
So Green Bay is one of the top 7, but they're not like the top 3, not like a Philadelphia or dare I say Tampa Bay? Dare I say that?
Michael, I'm glad you brought up a relative strength of opponents, because it's actually been noted that Kansas City's road to the Super Bowl has been the toughest of any team in Super Bowl history, because Miami and Buffalo and Baltimore all had plus 100 points differential in their seasons. Nobody's ever done that before, beat 3 teams like that to get to the Super Bowl. Also, they had to go to a number 2 and beat a number 2 on the road. And they had to go to a number 1 and beat Baltimore on the road. That's San Francisco this week.
Right. San Francisco only had to play 2 games.
Yeah, this is Kansas City during the playoffs. It was nerve-wracking because
popcorn.
we had to beat some really good teams. I think it's been a much harder road to the Super Bowl than San Francisco had.
I wanted to see Tim. I have something. I found a statistic to tell him, and that's not a very good one. Next season's schedule, the schedule percentage. Do you know who has the toughest schedule in the NFL next year?
Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns with a 547 percentage.
Yeah, well, that's based on this year.
Yeah,
their league is tough.
Yeah. The division. Sure. You mean the division's tough?
Well, the division's very tough. All right, let's get to our picks. We've kind of broke this down.
Special teams. You think there's any significant advantage there?
I like our field goal kicker, Harrison Bucker.
Yeah, he's good. He's one of the best. Him and Jason. Him and Tucker.
Kick coverage.
Nah, you don't see that much because
you don't have as many returns anymore. But you know, the team might still run one out to the 40 or 50-yard line against you once in a while.
Brian, you have the statisticals for your dice game. Have you tried to play the Super Bowl?
No, I have not. It was interesting. I got in my email today from Downey Games, their game-winning drive teams. They revised Kansas City's team. When the season was over, they published their teams for 2023, and then they must have included the playoffs because they sent me a new Kansas City Chiefs and new San Francisco 49er team card, and they improved the Chiefs team card to reflect what they've done in the playoffs. So I think I am going to play. What I'm thinking about is playing the top 5 Super Bowls, one each day, and then leading up to this year's Super Bowl for Sunday morning to that post. But yeah, I kind of noticed that. Kadarius Toney is returning for the Chiefs. I think we might have an advantage there if he'll secure the football. I mean, Andy Reid might not even chance that if he doesn't think he'll secure the ball.
You know, there's another intangible: the coaching. Andy Reid against Kyle Shanahan. Who would get the advantage on that? I would say, I hate to say it because I had to deal with him with Philadelphia all those years. Andy Reid probably has the big advantage.
I like our defensive coordinator as well, Steve Spagnuolo.
Ex-Giant.
He's won Super Bowls with the Giants and with the Chiefs. And I think he's had a spectacular year. When he came on, he has a very complicated defense. It took the Chiefs a half a season to learn his defense. And so we struggled for a half a season. But the young kids we drafted in the secondary, they picked it up fast last year. I was very surprised. Everybody's plugged into that defense now. They know how to play it.
You know, I haven't looked. Have the Chiefs lost any of their assistants or their coaches to other teams?
No. There is some talk that they may think about rehiring Bieniemy since he was let go by Washington yesterday or today.
And
make him make Bieniemy like a wide receivers coach. something like that. There's some talk about that.
Nagy's back with him, right?
Nagy is with us, and they're pleased with his job that he's done. What they're not pleased with is the during the year, the quality control, the drop passes, the penalties. That's all stuff that probably wouldn't have happened if Bieniemy was here. He would have sat on that big time.
You're talking about Matt Nagy? Didn't he used to be a quarterback?
Yeah, he was when he played.
He wasn't that good, was he?
No, and his son's a high school quarterback now, and I'm not going to bash him.
It just boggles the mind that you see some of these receivers, quarterbacks, and they weren't that good. But then you put them in a coaching element, and look what they do.
Yeah. I saw something interesting along that vein yesterday. Mad Dog Chris Russo, you probably know who he was. He got all over Dan Orlovsky. And Henry Eisen was thinking that Chris Russo was drunk or high. And I think he might have been. But Orlovsky is a former quarterback in the NFL. And Russo was talking about how he was a horrible quarterback and stuff like that.
Well, he's the one that famously rolled out or dropped back behind the end zone, right, with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, he did that first. He did that before the Groper did.
The context of the conversation, though, was Orlovsky was at the Pro Bowl, and they were setting up for the quarterback competition the day before. And they asked Dan to do the competition so they could figure out their camera angles and get everything set up properly. So I explained the rules to him, and they showed the video of him throwing the balls at the targets. He had the highest score of anybody. Nobody who competed.
Really?
Yeah, and he's the only one who was able to throw that last pass 50 yards in the bucket. He hit that pass.
Really? Wow. I like him. I watch him on college football. He's pretty good.
I think he's a good analyst. He does his
yes,
homework.
He is.
He knows what he's talking
yes,
about.
He is. I think he's very good. Yeah. Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
No.
I watched some of the competitions.
Yeah. I had no interest. Had no interest in it.
I don't have anything against it. I mean, I just didn't really. Wasn't. So
I'm waiting for the I might be waiting for the UFL.
I think I need to play some football for a while, but I mean, I hope it does well.
I'm gonna miss football, but we got to deal with that. But this is a pick show. Let's get to our picks, though.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
Tim is not here, and he is picking Kansas City to win 33-24. Keith, let's go to you first. Who do you think is going to win this game?
I think the final score will be. I'm settling on 27-17, and still the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, I think the over/under is 47, so you got it on the.
And I don't even know I've never looked at what the line is on this game.
2. San Francisco's favored by 2.
Okay.
And it's fluctuated between 2 and 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even the money line's been fluctuating.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Michael.
Oh, Brian, you don't understand. This has been tough. I know that we've discussed and broken down everything, but it's still. This could be one of these games. I think it's first of all, it's not going to be a blowout. That's my first thought. Okay, it's going to be a really close game. Will it go to overtime? No. But equally, you said you have the number 2 and the number 3 defensive teams against each other. Okay? Then you have, most people think Purdy, it's Mahomes over Purdy. Now, I'm a Mahomes fan. And Purdy, I can't wait to see what kind of a contract he's going to get. He's only getting $1 million. That's it. They're not. They want to give him more, but his contract, that's what his contract was for, $1 million. He's both quarterbacks are very well-spoken. Watching the interviews today, it was a pleasure to listen to. I didn't get to hear Shanahan. Yeah, that's okay. But I got to hear Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a character. He's hysterical. Okay? And for that, I think it's going to be more of a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a field goal that decides it, and that gives the advantage to Kansas City. Butker over the kid from Michigan. I think the final is going to be 31-28, and I think we're going to make it a sweep around the bend here. I think it's going to be a close game, but it's going to be the popcorn eating girl, and I'm going to go with Kansas City. It's just going to be a very tough game. I don't think there's any offense if the 49ers win, if they are the better team that day. Okay? You could play these two teams 10 times, and I personally think you would get 5-5 out of it. I really do. They're both good teams. I know a lot of people are not happy with that because I read today that prices went down $1,000. The seats are like $7,000 now, and then you have the story of Taylor, one of the No Fun League. The No Fun League has taken one of the owners' spots and given their private plane to Taylor. You see that today, Brian?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, the NFL took one of the planes, the spots from where the private jets land, and they're giving that one of the spots to Taylor's plane because she's coming in from Japan. Here was my other thing that got me thinking. I don't know if you guys read this, but the No Fun League has decided to play their first game next season after the Thursday night game on a Friday in Brazil.
Philadelphia.
Yes. Philadelphia. Did you hear about that, Keith?
I hadn't, no.
No. It's going to be Philadelphia against someone. It could be one of our division teams. It could be one of our division teams.
It hasn't been announced who they're playing yet?
No.
Okay.
No. Deep Pockets hasn't announced who they're playing yet. That was part of the press conference.
You're just building up the suspense.
And they're playing in Brazil. Now, this gets better.
Rio de Janeiro?
They're playing
Sao Paulo.
Thursday night.
Sao Paulo, okay.
Yeah.
And then they're playing Friday. The question is going to be, who is going to televise that game? Okay. You want to give it to any of the networks? No. Because on Thursday, NBC has the game, and they're not going to put up all their stuff together in a hurry and fly down to Brazil. You can't give it to ABC because they got something going on. You can't even give it to ESPN because why? It's the semifinals of the United States Open in New York City. Do you think people are going to be mad if that happens? Yes. Because the U.S. Open is a very important tournament, and it's going to be on that time. So now the question is going to be, who's going to get it? Is it going to be a Peacock game?
Well, we can talk about all that later, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's going to get interesting. I'm telling you. I know we got to worry about the draft in April, but
we can go over those
making everybody
sometime.
think. And then you have, well, even better is the Hall of Fame voting. Oh,
They're probably still negotiating with another team to figure out who that other team is going to be, because it's always a big negotiation. They're giving up a home game,
I
possibly.
did want to add in with a thought I was having about the Super Bowl that I was going to mention, and I just forgot. I could see this one kind of being a little bit, not that I'm really predicting it, but I could see it unfold kind of like Super Bowl 38 did between the Patriots and the Panthers, where you have kind of a low-scoring half and then one where just everything goes, opens up, and you just got a big
I can see that
story
happening.
of scoring. Only maybe it happens reverse in this game. Maybe you have it in the first half, and then you get the defense in the second half. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I see it as a possibility.
I can't. Oh, that's all right. I'm waiting for the couple of big commercials they're talking about on Sunday too. They're having a frenzy.
I think there are people still waiting with bated breath to see who I'm going to pick.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and
like we don't know.
And we're all going to pretend.
Well, yeah.
Like you're going into this with complete objectivity. And,
of course.
Yeah. Put those glasses on.
And like your heart isn't invested in it.
Okay.
And you can even put the little San Francisco 49er helmet on your shoulder if you want, just to kind of.
Put them both on.
At least it's not teams you don't hate, That's what's even good about it.
That is true. I don't hate San Francisco.
No.
Mahomes can become the fourth quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls. The other ones, Brady, Montana, and Aikman.
Mm-hmm.
So he's be the only fourth one to do that. Before the season started, Kansas City was 6-1 favorites to win the Super Bowl. San Francisco was 9-1 favorites, so that's pretty close. But Mahomes, since Christmas Day, there's one thing he hasn't done that's been pretty impressive. He has not thrown an interception.
Taylor Swift?
No, he has not thrown an interception since Christmas Day. So he's focused. He's taking care of the football, not taking chances.
Just thinks that
Pacheco could be the first running back to win Super Bowls his first 2 years. San Francisco, I think if they're going to win this game, they need to get touchdowns as opposed to field goals. Okay. So red zone for both teams. Really, red zone is going to be important for both teams. I think San Francisco is going to be looking for McCaffrey to have a monster day against the Chiefs. And more than anything, I think that's possible. I think he could go wild. It's going to be tough to hold him down. I think the Chiefs should be able to run on them like the Packers did and the Lions did. San Francisco does not blitz a lot. I think Mahomes will not have a lot of trouble recognizing defenses and knowing where to go with the ball. So I am leaning toward Kansas City, mainly because I've already said it. I think our secondary will give Purdy more trouble than San Francisco's secondary will give Kansas City's quarterback trouble. So to quote Mitch Holthus, the Chiefs radio announcer, you can doubt the Chiefs, you can dislike the Chiefs, you can disregard the Chiefs, but you have to deal with the Chiefs. I think Kansas City is going to win this Super Bowl and make it 3 out of 4 years Super Bowl winners.
And I have 2 other Super Bowl predictions for you that I did see in a chat earlier today from a couple members who have joined us many times this year. Mr. Rob Kinsler
good.
has forecasted that the 49ers are going to win this game, and his final score prediction is 41-31.
Wow, he thinks it's going to be high scoring. That's good.
And then we have Mr. Harris Jessup, who is always working, and said he was going to try to join us by phone tonight. But
Mr. Orlando.
Good, but yeah. Anyway.
I want to hear his report on the Pro Bowl stuff.
It's not like there was a lot of people there, but anyway, another person to go with the San Francisco 49ers, and his final score prediction is 34-17.
Okay.
And
then Tim sent his in email, correct?
Yeah, I got his as 33-24, Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they all have high-scoring games. I have a high-scoring game.
I think it's going to be kind of low scoring myself. I think it's going to be. I'm looking at 24-21.
At least we don't have to worry about weather.
But the fans who went to Vegas do. It's going to be very wet in about 50s all week.
Yeah.
Have you got Dan's project?
I do not have Dan's. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Guys, there's more we could talk about. You want to go over the NFL awards real quick? That's on Thursday.
Well, you can tell us who the nominees are.
Okay. MVP nominee for MVP or Josh Allen, Lucas Jackson, Baltimore's quarterback, Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy.
That's easy.
I think everybody's picking Jackson, probably.
Probably.
Personally, I like Josh Allen myself.
Okay. No, I would take Jackson.
I would almost go with McCaffrey, but I don't know.
Yeah, 2 seasons with 2,000 yards total in a row.
Yeah, I mean, that guy just is such a big part of their offense.
Yep. Now, offensive player of the year, you've got Tyreek Hill, Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak Prescott.
That I would take McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah, him or the one with Miami. What, Hunt? Is it?
Tyreek Hill.
Hill. Yeah, okay. I always get that wrong.
That I would take McCaffrey.
Hill had a lot of big plays this year. He always does.
A lot of touchdowns.
He got hurt during the year.
Yeah. But McCaffrey again, yeah, I was just thinking if I was going to give it to somebody other than McCaffrey who'd get the MVP. I think they do that sometimes in some sports. They'll give if they give the big award to one player, then they might give some other award to somebody else. So if I was going to do that, I'd probably be Hill, but McCaffrey would be my pick.
Offensive Rookie of the Year nominees are C.J. Stroud, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, and Bijan Robinson.
Wow, Laporta.
That's a lot of good players.
Yep.
Yeah, I still would go with I go with that close to 500-yard game. I would give it to C.J. Stroud, and he had to deal with a concussion.
The 2 of those are Lions, right?
Yes.
Laporta and Gibbs, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm looking at Puka Nacua myself.
Yeah, I would say Laporta or Nacua.
I would take Stroud.
I would probably go with Laporta.
Stroud's a good choice. So we're all split on
a
that.
good choice. He's going to be, people like Laporta is going to be drafted high next year, and C.J. Stroud is going to be one of the high drafted
in fantasy games.
Yeah.
Now, on defense, you got the defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, Deron Bland, cornerback, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, and T.J. Watt.
No, I wouldn't give it to Watt. Wow. You know what?
Watt or Garrett? I just really like Garrett a lot, so I'm a little.
Yeah,
But Watt was every time I saw him play was maybe not every time, but several times this year I would see him play, and it was just like he really knew he was there. I know Parsons is really good, but I don't know. Those other 2 stand out a little bit more.
I would go honestly because he hasn't. I think he missed one play all year. Crosby. Max Crosby.
Patrick Mahomes says he hates playing Crosby more than any other player because he's so good.
Yeah.
I'm leaning toward Myles Garrett myself, but yeah,
Okay.
Crosby's a great choice.
So is Garrett.
Now, defensive rookie of the year, Will Anderson Jr., Houston, Devin Witherspoon, Seattle, Jalen Carter, Eagles, Joey Porter, and Kay Turner, I forget his first name, Turner. but I'm leaning toward Will Anderson Jr. on that one.
Me, I gotta go father and son type thing. Joey Porter.
Yeah, he was my second choice.
Joey Porter
Yeah, I
Jr.
think I'll go with Porter.
Okay. Comeback player of the year.
Oh,
I
that
know
could be one of two people.
Lori's got. I know she's got a favorite on this one. DeMar Hamlin, Matthew Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, Joe Flacco, and Baker Mayfield. Lori likes DeMar Hamlin. I mean, really, to come back from the dead and you're playing the next year.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. Hamlin from the Bills. I think he's going to get it.
Yeah,
Even though Tua has a good shot also.
I would personally, if I was handing out of that group, I'd probably go with Stafford just because he came from an injury-riddled season after winning the Super Bowl, and he kept that team in a lot of games. He found a way to hook up with Nakua a lot. He started working with their weapons. I think he was the comeback MVP, if you will. I mean, and I feel like I'm overlooking Mayfield a little bit, but
Okay.
Mayfield, I think he wasn't really. Mayfield played well, but I don't know that he ever really played terrible before. I mean,
I'll tell you a story. My nephew's a big Tampa Bay fan. He
got a
was
chance to get
very,
familiar
very
with what he's
upset about
around him.
having Mayfield on the team, and he said he wouldn't have been surprised if Tampa didn't win the division. He thought New Orleans was going to win the division, and he kept playing better and better.
Yeah.
But no, Baker's got it. Maybe Baker will get his progressive commercials back. That's my thinking.
I think I like Tua on the comeback player of the year.
Yeah, it's a good choice, but Hamlin is the sentimental.
Yeah.
It's the sentimental choice for all that he's gone through.
All right, coach of the year the nominees are Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland.
Oh my God! Really? Well,
I would go with Harbaugh.
I would go with DeMarcus Ryan. To take a team that's won 2 games the year before and bring them back to what did they win, 9 games?
Maybe 10.
Still,
Yeah.
wins the division, has a rookie quarterback. No, DeMarcus Ryan gets that in my world.
I'm kind of between DeMarcus Ryans and Kevin Stefanski. He had to work with 4 different quarterbacks.
That's true.
Injuries. And that defense really played great for Cleveland.
I think Salah and Dayball both deserve an honorable mention.
Who?
Salah is hanging on by his fingernails.
Those two guys in Jersey.
If they don't,
Guys, that tanks.
if they don't improve that offensive line in New York, he won't last the year. The assistant coach of the year, the nominees are Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of Detroit, Mike McDonald, offensive coordinator of Baltimore, Todd Monken, defensive quarterback, McDonald's defensive coordinator of Baltimore, Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator of Baltimore, Jim Swartz, defensive coordinator of Cleveland, and Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for Houston. And again, I think Steve Spagnuolo not being a nominee, I think, is quite a travesty. I think he deserves.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz? No, he coached already and failed. Well,
Here's the thing with Schwartz. Their defense played good at home, but they were terrible on road games.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess one of the coordinators for the Lions would probably be my choice there.
Yeah, I think it comes down to him or
I think
Monken from
it should
Baltimore.
be the guy from Baltimore.
Yeah, Monken from Baltimore. It'll be one of those two, I think. So that's the MVP honor show. These are the AP awards, and then the MVP honor show is Thursday night. So
And then
Michael, did you say something about rule changes earlier? You wanted to bring
there is a rumor going around that the tush push may be disappearing.
Okay.
And they may also be talking about another change to the kickoff rules. They're looking at that I don't remember if it was the USFL rule that they had, where the kicking team and the receiving team both start 5 yards apart from each other. None of them can go until the receiving team gets possession of the ball, and then they can attack.
Yeah. I think that was the XFL, wasn't it?
It was the XFL. I don't remember.
I don't remember for sure, but yeah, I remember what rule you're talking about.
That's the
How
rule.
about
that'll be interesting.
About changing onside kicks to like a 4th down play.
Haven't heard anything about that.
Okay. I thought that might be something that they would strongly consider.
Oh, I wouldn't like to see that.
I think they should be working on replay to include a couple of calls. Face mask. I think face mask should be one of the parts of the replay rule. Grabbing the face mask.
You actually grab the face mask. Now, if you
but you see
put
it
your hand on it and it comes off right away, they don't usually call it. But I just don't know. There was somebody last week that on a stiff arm kind of got underneath somebody's face mask and was pushing up, and I don't think that there was any call on it. But
if he had the ball, it's okay.
But he kind of got under his face mask and was pushing up, and I guess I wasn't quite sure what the rule is on that. But they didn't call it.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. The stiff arm rule, not at all.
Okay, guys, before we go, I wanted to ask you, in the past, what has been your favorite or you feel the most important Super Bowl there's been? What's your favorite Super Bowl?
I can go back. My favorite, and I guess for some reason, the ones when I was younger kind of stick with me most. Mm-hmm. And of course, I enjoyed watching Washington when they went to the Super Bowls. But the Super Bowl 14 always kind of stuck with me, and it's like the third one that I remember watching. 12 is about as far back as I can remember, but the Rams were a big underdog, but they just hung in there, and Ferragamo was playing good. But then the Steelers just, that play with Stallworth that was like a perfect pass and catch and run into, and it's just like, okay, now the Steelers showed you who they are, and they pulled away late. But for some reason, that was one of my favorites.
Super Bowl 12. Super Bowl 13 had the most NFL Hall of Famers in that game. I think there were like 17 or something like that.
Yeah, it was the Cowboys' second meeting.
Yeah.
My favorite Super Bowl. I'm a homer, and it's either one, but I've got to go because my wife and I were at a restaurant, and everybody was there, and everybody was enjoying it. My favorite one was the Tyree catch. Yeah, that's the one.
I knew that was what you were coming up with. Yeah.
That's the one. We didn't think it would happen. We saw it happen, and everybody in the restaurant was going psycho. And this was a place in Jersey. Okay. And it was just wild. And everybody's high-fiving each other. That's probably the Super Bowl I kind of enjoy the most.
Now, I really remember looking forward to Super Bowl 19 between the Marino Dolphins and the Montana 49ers, and then it wasn't much of a game.
No, it wasn't.
You thought that'd be a matchup that would happen again in the future.
Yeah.
Probably. It didn't happen. My favorite Super Bowl is, of course, the Chiefs one's 4, but I think the most important Super Bowl, and the one that I got before the Chiefs won the most joy out of, was Super Bowl 3 with Joe Namath and the Jets over the Colts. In that Super Bowl, if there was going to be another blowout, the first 2 were blowouts by the NFL, you maybe don't have a merger.
No, you don't.
There was already talk of changing the Super Bowl format because the AFL was just not looking competitive.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think the most significant Super Bowl in history was that Super Bowl 3.
I rewatched that about 2 weekends ago on YouTube, and the Colts, I mean, they had some good opportunities in that first half, but they just always turned it over or had something go against them. You know, Matty had some good plays, and but yeah, the Jets defense would just cause a turnover down inside their own end, and then Namath played pretty well, and Snell carried the ball pretty good. I think the Colts had their chances, and I thought the Colts kind of, from what I remember watching a couple weeks ago, did look like the better team, but they played too sloppy in that game.
Mm-hmm. The 5 games I'm looking to play starting tomorrow on my channel would be the Super Bowl 51 with Tom Brady.
Okay.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
The 24.
That might be one I'm still thinking about that one. I like this one, Seattle and New England, where Butler got that interception when they should have ran the ball. I like this one. Your favorite. I'm planning on replaying that one. The one with all the Hall of Famers, Pittsburgh and Dallas, Super Bowl 13, and then the Super Bowl 3, and then I'll play probably Sunday morning. I'll play the.
Go back to that picture. Who is that number 81 for the Colts and those eyes and that face?
It looks like he's having fun, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get this guy on this play.
That's still great. Those pictures. See, Brian, I thought you would talk about more about besides the next one was Super Bowl 4, wasn't it? With
that's the Chiefs,
Kansas City and Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's
I
one of
need
my
to rewatch or watch that one too.
That is one of my favorite ones to watch with Hank Stram.
Matriculating down the field.
He matriculating down the field.
Was that a game where the Vikings just didn't look like they were prepared for that? What the Chiefs threw at them? Or
I do think the Chiefs were better prepared than the Vikings.
Oh yeah,
in that game.
That was Dawson, right? Dawson was still there.
Pump it in there, Lenny. Pump it in there. It's like taking
the
candy.
Vikings had a good defense. They had really good defense, especially on the line. But
they had Alan Page. They had Carl Eller.
Yeah.
Their
Marshall.
secondary was decent.
Kasalki in the secondary. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget the guy's name. Bob something.
Now, Joe Kapp wasn't known as that great quarterback, though.
He was not.
Yeah, no arm.
Yeah. And I don't remember where Tarkenton was at that time. I think he
New
did.
York, I think.
You think it was with the Giants in those days?
That was a little bit before I started watching, but still, I still remember Tarkenton, so it's okay.
Well, guys, thank you for talking the Super Bowl with us. I think we talked to every which word.
Not to end the show on a downer, but like a Super Bowl that you just kind of thought was like the least interesting over this. Because I was thinking
a lot of
46 between the Giants and Patriots. Both of their defenses were so riddled with injuries, as I recall, going into that game. The Giants, I think, were on their third string defensive backs. It was just kind of like, man, this game just, I don't know. This just doesn't.
Oh, the worst Super Bowl I ever remember was San Francisco and San Diego.
Well,
oh my God, that was terrible.
Yeah.
That was almost as bad as San Francisco, Denver. Yeah.
There have been some ugly
yeah.
Super Bowls. I don't think Sunday's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good game.
What time are you playing your five best in the morning?
Yeah, they'll be in the morning. I'll play them in the morning. It takes me,
Right.
20 minutes to play it and edit it another hour.
All
And
right.
then
I'll
play
probably
it.
have to watch. I'll probably be watching in the afternoon. I'll probably watch.
Yeah,
in the
they won't be live.
This
I'll
is
I'll play
CBS's
recording.
year, is it, for the Super Bowl?
Yes, CBS this year.
Nance and Romo.
Yeah, it's a normal.
Yep, Nance and Romo. And then you have the saga of Fox next year with Brady.
Yeah, and I was really liking Olsen working with Burkhardt, and now
Yeah. Oh, I give props to those two. They were.
Olsen does a very good job of analyzing, telling you what was going on in the play.
Greg Olson's
kind of like Collinsworth does.
Mm-hmm.
Collinsworth and Tirico do okay.
Oh, I really like Tirico.
Yeah.
So I loved Mike Tirico. He's great.
Yeah.
He can do anything.
Yeah, Tirico's just got a really good sports voice. Probably the best voice out there right now.
Okay.
Guys, thanks for joining me on these picks all
Thank
year
you,
long.
Brian. And Mr. Keith, always a pleasure.
It's been fun.
Oh yeah.
With your crazy kitty cat. Where's that
I hope
crazy kitty?
you're going to be around for baseball season.
Absolutely. I've been
all
working.
right.
I'm
Brian, you going to be around for
crashing
baseball to talk at all, or
I crash numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm crashing numbers now. Are you kidding me? Oh,
I haven't played any baseball games for a while since my project ended, but I'm rolling around a few things in my head. We'll see.
okay. All right, guys.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
I gotta give,
Bye-bye,
like I said,
everybody.
I'm gonna
Enjoy the
give
game.
I gotta give Tim the business. So, good night, gentlemen. Have a